Welcome to The Explainer. I am so incredibly pumped to guide you through today's deep dive because honestly, we are looking at one of the most highly anticipated television returns of the entire decade. After literally years of waiting and wondering, Netflix has officially confirmed that All of Us Are Dead Season 2 is in active production. But hey, if you thought you knew exactly what to expect this time around, yeah, you might want to think again. Massive new leaks and confirmations have completely redefined the boundaries of this hit zombie series. We aren't just talking about a simple continuation here. We're talking about a total, massive evolution of the story, the overarching threats, and the sheer scale of the disaster. So let's just get right to it and unpack all the exciting details you absolutely need to know. It's a really fascinating concept, isn't it? Like, what actually happens when a zombie apocalypse graduates high school? In the first season, the horror was so heavily defined by its setting, right? The students were completely trapped. They were using desks, sports equipment, basically whatever random stuff they could find in the classrooms just to survive the day. But as we transitioned into Season 2, we're faced with this terrifying central premise. The nightmare is absolutely no longer contained to a single building. The training wheels are totally off, guys, and the infection is out in the wild. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer contrast and scale. Over on the left, we've got the claustrophobic, tightly enclosed spaces of Hyosan High School. Every corner they turned was essentially a dead end. But look at the right side. We are taking a massive leap into the sprawling, chaotic metropolis of Seoul. Instead of being boxed into school hallways, our survivors are going to have to navigate this crazy labyrinth of massive city streets, collapsing buildings, and super dangerous rooftops. The new scope is exponentially larger, which means the stakes and the sheer size of the zombie hordes are going to be infinitely more overwhelming.
All right, moving into Section 1. Outbreak hits Seoul City, a metropolis in chaos.
Okay, so to understand how we even get to this massive urban nightmare, we really need to look at the timeline. According to the latest leaks, Season 2 actually features a time jump of several years. Nam Anjo, who barely survived the heartbreaking losses of the Hyosan outbreak, including the tragic loss of her father and so many of her closest friends, is just trying to piece her life back together. She's now a university student living in Seoul. But of course, just when it seems like life is finally kind of approaching normal again, a brand new outbreak strikes right in the heart of the city. We're looking at entirely new, deadly survival zones here, universities, massive apartment complexes, subterranean subway stations, and completely crowded shopping districts. Just think about the logistics of surviving in these environments compared to a high school. I mean, a subway station alone introduces this terrifying verticality and pitch-black darkness to the action sequences. And a crowded shopping district, that means literally thousands of potential infected swarming at once. The scale of the disaster is expected to totally dwarf everything we experienced in Season 1, pushing the survivors into much, much more intense and complex action sequences just to stay alive. Next up, Section 2. New and returning survivors fighting the Seoul Horde. So naturally, a totally new setting means new faces. Because Anjo is now navigating a college setting, the narrative brings a completely new group of friends into the fold to fight alongside her against this massive Seoul Horde. But if there is one single lesson we absolutely must carry over from the first season, it's the highly unpredictable, high mortality nature of this universe. No one, and I mean no one, has plot armor. Any character, whether they're old or new, can fall at any given moment. Which really brings us to the elephant in the room, the big one. Is Lee Chung-san actually alive? It is without a doubt the single biggest mystery fans have been desperate to solve ever since he seemingly perished in that massive explosion at the very end of Season 1. I mean, the emotional weight of his sacrifice totally defined that finale and left a huge void in the survivor group. So what do the new leaks actually tell us? Well, the massive piece of verified information we have right now is that actor Yoon Chan-young is officially returning for Season 2. That is confirmed. However, while we know for a fact the actor is back on set, Netflix is keeping the exact nature of his return a fiercely guarded secret. Basically, we have the who, but the how is deliberately being withheld to preserve the mystery. And because of all this secrecy, 3 major fan theories have to spread like wildfire. The first theory suggests a literal survival, that Chung-san somehow miraculously shielded himself from the blast and the flames. The second, and honestly perhaps the most popular theory right now, is that he was infected but actually became a powerful hybrid, a lot like Namra. Finally, the third theory proposes a much more tragic reality, that he truly died and the actor's return is strictly limited to flashbacks or Anjo's haunting memories. Now, as an impartial explainer of the source material, I'm definitely not going to tell you which one to believe, but it is super clear that until that very first trailer drops, this is going to remain the show's most fiercely debated topic for sure. Okay, let's dive into this. Section 3.
evolving threats and lore beyond the standard zombie. This is exactly where the mythology of the series gets incredibly rich. We are moving way beyond your standard mindless zombie here. The end of Season 1 gave us a massive clue when Namra revealed there were others just like her living in the ruins. Well, Season 2 is going to take that exact thread and just pull it, vastly expanding the lore of the infection. So let's define exactly what we're dealing with. A half-bee refers to a hybrid human who actually retains their consciousness and intelligence, but they also possess all the terrifying strength and sensory enhancements of the infected. According to the sources, Season 2 is going to heavily feature these hybrids living in secret all across Seoul. And the absolutely crucial takeaway here is the incredible narrative tension this creates. I mean, how do they even survive day to day? And more importantly, as our core group of survivors navigates the city, are these half-bees going to step out of the shadows as crucial allies, or are they going to become incredibly lethal enemies? And guess what? The mysteries don't just stop at the biology of the virus. The whole conspiracy is thickening dramatically. The source material actually confirms the introduction of brand new government officials and intelligence officers to the story. This is a huge pivot for the show. We are basically shifting from a pure survival narrative into a deep dive investigation into the authorities themselves. There are heavy hints regarding secret experiments and hidden research connected to this brand new outbreak in Seoul. So the overarching question really morphs from how do we survive today to who is truly responsible for the virus spreading once again. All right, bringing it home with Section 4, the expected release timeline, reality versus rumors. So with all this incredible new scale, hybrid characters, and dark government conspiracies, we kind of have to bring things back down to earth for a second and address practical reality. When can you actually expect to watch this massive new production? Well, and this brilliantly illustrates our current expectations, let's look at the timeline. Right now, at point 1, production is fully confirmed and underway. Awesome. Now, if you move to point 2, you'll see late 2026. This is the date that is just dominating social media rumors right now. However, let's look at point 3. Industry reports strongly suggest a 2027 release is actually much more realistic. Why? Because transitioning from a single high school setting to a full-scale metropolitan apocalypse across all of Seoul requires extraordinarily heavy visual effects and massive large-scale production logistics. Recreating collapsing city blocks and rendering massive urban zombie hordes, that takes serious time to get right. So while 2026 is a really hopeful rumor, 2027 aligns much better with the reality of producing a true blockbuster-scale television season. Which ultimately leaves us with this final, lingering thought. Based on everything we've unpacked today, from the devastating shift to the crowded, super chaotic streets of Seoul, to the introduction of those mysterious half-bees and shadowy government intelligence, we really have to ask, who is actually responsible for the virus spreading again? And in a massive city of millions, is anyone truly safe? Nam Anjo survived one apocalypse, sure, but surviving a second, much larger one in the metropolis? That might require a whole lot more than just luck. It's a massive evolution in scope that definitely leaves us eager for the truth. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer today. And hey, keep questioning what you think you know about the outbreak. Catch you next time.